I was in college in the late 80s, and I can remember walking the halls of the Capitol and not seeing many women in any role, let alone as elected officials. My name is Terry Sewell. I'm the U.S. Representative for the 7th District of Alabama, and I was first elected in 2010. I had my mother as a great role model. My mom was the first African American woman to be elected to the city council in Selma, Alabama. She served for 24 years. I never saw my limitations when it came to being a woman in anything, let alone political power. You know, I had the fortune before I was a member of Congress of being a partner in a law firm and working in the corporate arena. And, you know, I find that many of the stereotypes that people have about women in power held true, whether that was as the first African American woman partner at a Birmingham, Alabama law firm, or being, you know, Alabama's first black congresswoman. There's lots of similarities, I think, as to the challenges. But I think that my approach has been the same. I approach each challenge with trying to do my very best job that I can, and by not seeing my gender or my race as being a hindrance, but as being, an asset. I do believe that oftentimes we as women are our own worst enemy, in the sense that we second guess ourselves, and we tend to wait to be asked to run for political office instead of doing it on our own. I think we look in the mirror and we, men, it's said that men look in the mirror and they see president and senator, and we look in the mirror and we often see our imperfections, the zit, the wrinkles, and not necessarily all the wonderful assets that we bring to elected office. I had an opportunity to meet Shirley Chisholm, who was the first African American woman to be a member of Congress. I asked her, as between being a woman and being black, which is the biggest barrier to entering politics and being in politics. And I find myself saying the exact things that she said to me. She said, unequivocally, being a woman. And to think that 30 years have passed, and being a woman, I see as a bigger barrier to being in politics than being African American. I think part of that has to do with the fact that society still doesn't see women in positions of authority and power. And I think that the best way to demystify that is to have more women in these areas of influence.